everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? First card in our 5-card spread is King of Wands in its reversal. Guys, yesterday was triggering. We saw that occurring. Masculine and feminine energy basically mirroring one another with that pentacle energy in its reversal. One of the things that we are seeing, and this is something that needs to be heavily notated right now for the energy of masculine, especially masculine energy that is in the divine union frequency, is there is something that is very important that we've been seeing for the energy in the divine union frequency right now. Masculine energy wanting to lead forth with the heart space prior to this moment. Masculine energy having that moment of feeling the amplification of the care and support from the feminine that was moving them with that sense or state of confidence. One of the things that we're seeing right now has to do with the fact that masculine energy's own efforts right now, moving with intentionality to try to heal some things, are not meeting with an immediate reactivity point. There's something here that requires a level of degree of patience. It requires that moment of inhabiting a space. It is the difference, I need to stress, between adopting or navigating from a state or space that feels like it needs to be reactive versus something that is more about inhabiting or holding forth to a certain degree. The difficulty or hurdle for the masculine energy in this modality, and why this is easier for the feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, is masculine not necessarily immediately seeing the reaction from what you're trying to set forth and doing right now. It's shaking your own confidence that something is occurring. There's a lot of roots under the earth right now in terms of whatever this heart-led direction is. It's not something that would immediately show itself, because I have to stress this, if it immediately showed itself, you would almost know it to be false. You would almost know it to be false, because what we're effectively seeing to a certain extent is this point of understanding and recognizing that this kind of work, it's heavy energy. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes intention. It takes a level of degree of being able to maintain a point of consistency on it. Potentially, even if this is heart-led work, even towards some of the energy that you may be expressing it to. There could even be a moment that, again, it is the amplification and articulation point between a sudden flight of fancy versus a new course of action, a new direction. So one of the things that we're potentially seeing right now for masculine is feeling some of your own confidence being shaken as it relates to what you're trying to set your effort, energy, and intention on right now. Feminine, you may be seeing a masculine in this modality right now, but the important thing to observe, and this is why I said don't you dare right now, feminine energy, if you are in partnership with masculine, come into a state or space that feels a little bit like I told you so, I knew you were going to be like this, I knew this was going to happen. You did. You don't need to say it, right? Because this was that point of trepidation that we saw that was coming in to a certain extent. This was feminine almost giving that point of caution to masculine, saying, be a little careful with your heart space. Be a little careful with it. Don't move forward with your heart on your sleeve. This was why we saw that the feminine was trying to say to masculine, look, like be a little bit careful, because the feminine was almost trying to amplify to the masculine that even what they were worried about experiencing wasn't something that felt like an external reaction, but more how much it can be difficult to navigate that space of putting yourself out there, having to have that point of vulnerability. This was almost feminine, almost anticipating that masculine has a harder time with that as it relates to experiencing what feels like a quietude as they wait to see if that work that they're putting forth is going to render the results that they're hoping for, even recognizing that this wasn't a state or space of masculine, realizing that this work would have the intended result. There was almost a point of observation that needed to be made prior to moving forward in this way that almost amplified that one was doing it specifically because one felt like one should, not because it was going to generate some kind of return. Feminine in this modality right now, if in the divine union frequency, you could be seeing that masculine energy having a little bit of what could be best described as like emotional whiplash, if you will. It's almost that moment of masculine having like said, like, I know how to do this now. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to come into that space and state. And feminine almost saying energetically, like, are you sure? Are you sure that you're ready for this? And masculine being like, I am. Feminine, this could be that moment that you're feeling and seeing that the masculine's in that moment. And it may be showing up as a sense of like that quietude, the personal frustration, the Mercury retrograde having that impact or having that degree of occurrence. Now, masculine and feminine energy that are coming into the divine union frequency. What we are effectively seeing is this moment wherein these are the energies at play as it relates to staying in the divine union frequency. Specifically, we were amplifying and articulating the fact that for masculine especially, there's this moment that as you're trying to move into the divine union frequency right now, there's a feeling of a lot of outside energy trying to pull you back out of it again. The masculine and feminine energy that are trying to stay in the divine union frequency, this is that moment that the ability to stay in the divine union frequency is whether you are making these choices in tandem, if you're doing them in unison, if you're moving from that state or space of having common agreement as to how to navigate these circumstances or situations. And that relates to what is being communicated versus what is not. Or if this is moving energy into a more unilateral approach, taking this as a point of, again, doing things in separation, this is effectively amplifying that this energy is moving back into separation. Masculine energy, specifically right now, this could be a moment if you're trying to maintain the divine union frequency that feels like you're just trying to pull back on communication right now. It's almost this moment and that optic right now. And again, it may come through almost like as a state of trepidation or frustration for masculine, because it's almost that moment that you're potentially feeling that like, there may be these circumstances that feel to a certain extent like there's no positive or productive solution around them, because it almost kind of feels like anything you communicate feels like it's coming back in a negative way, or anything you don't communicate. It's almost like looking at something and having that optics, having that recognition of optics in terms of looking at some things right now as it relates to any energy trying to pull you out of the frequency, and realizing that there's a feeling of not knowing what to do or feeling like there's nothing that you can do, almost that point of confusion. If you're having that, well, congratulations, you're getting a little bit of a light bulb effect, because that's that moment of looking at some things and saying like, you're right, almost getting the amplification of the feminine and being like, you know what happens or what comes towards you is one thing. What you choose to communicate on, what you choose to like respond to is another. So we see in a way right now, this is masculine energy utilizing their own powers of discernment to keep themselves in the divine union frequency. And it is leading to like a bit of quietude as it relates to them navigating all of those outside energies or situations that are effectively creating those spaces and places wherein the masculine feels that that's going to like be that point of someone trying to pull them out of the frequency. This is almost the masculine seeing that point of observation. And a lot of it is potentially coming through right now. And I'm going to say this. If this is masculine energy that feels like suddenly as they're coming into divine union, all of this energy is coming out of the woodwork, well, then that in a way is almost giving you all the clarity you need as to the intentionality of the energy. Feminine energy coming into divine union may be trying to inform and navigate and notate this to the masculine if they're trying to stay in the divine union frequency, which is timing is important. Locationality is important. Having that point of observation. And this is almost feminine again, moving in that modality. If this is energy that's staying in the divine union, almost trying to help the masculine by showing them their blind spots here, showing them things that they may not necessarily see from their own perspective. And this is why this could be feeling right now, even now, trying to come into divine union, almost like a bit of triggering energy, because depending on masculine energy, how well you navigate being shown a blind spot is going to accept and be like one that you're almost looking at this from a state or space of appreciation and gratitude for the feminine. Or if you're taking it more as a point of reactivity, you may not necessarily feel like it's coming from the most positive place. It may not necessarily be a note that you're willing to like see, or one that you're feeling like you don't want to avoid, because it has to do a lot with your own ability right now to take constructive criticism or constructive feedback. Now, masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is that same modality that we're seeing of the energy in the divine union frequency being effectively expressed with some of the energy that's in separation and the masculine right now. And it's coming through as some feelings about your own confidence being shaken in some circumstances and situations right now. Masculine energy in this modality of separation, it is exactly what we were effectively expressing prior to this, which is a lot of this energy that we're seeing right now for masculine and separation is the observation point of what the present self would do versus the past self. How to effectively communicate that, what to effectively communicate. There's almost this moment that we see that for a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now, much like the energy of the divine masculine in the divine union frequency, there's almost this moment right now that you put forth some communication, less for the sake of seeing a reaction point or telling yourself that, but more from a state or space of personal accountability. But even now, if there is something that feels like a quietude here or a distance, it's almost that moment that your own confidence is being shaken, because it's almost that point of observation potentially around some situations and circumstances that if there's some time coming into play, if that retrograde energy is coming to the surface, it's almost that point that's like testing your own patience and hitting that point between asking yourself if you're going to be getting a response, or if that is just kind of like that point of like, that is the point of closure. Now, feminine energy in separation right now, this is effectively a moment that feminine is continuing to use that deep act of discernment right now to try to understand the motivations of the masculine energy that is approaching the feminine. The problem we're seeing right now for feminine energy in separation is feminine is kind of navigating this space or place right now for any energy coming towards them. Even it's either new energy of feminine or old feminine energy. And I'm going to apologize for the masculine energy experiencing this right now. Hopefully, if you're on this healing journey, you understand it. The feminine energy is kind of adopting a policy right now of guilty until proven innocent as it relates to situations and circumstances revolving around the masculine. And unfortunately, to that extent, it does feel almost like that energy of like guardedness or cynicism that's coming forward to a certain extent. And feminine's almost in a modality, I have to stress this for a lot of masculine experiencing this. This isn't feminine energy that's making the intentional choice of being in that modality. This is feminine energy that is very triggered. Feminine energy taking that is not feminine waking up and being like, I'm going to assume that all of the masculine is like, not coming towards me for the right reasons. This is feminine energy that almost is having, it's something that the feminine just feels inherently right now, that they're trying to like, even feminine to a certain extent, is noticing this within their own self and trying to navigate, giving the masculine the benefit of the doubt though. But again, we're seeing that this is a very difficult territory for feminine to cross right now, particularly and especially in separation. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, what did I just say the feminine's doing? Feminine is trying, feminine is trying to give masculine the benefit of the doubt. What's impressive right now for the feminine energy and separation, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, is feminine recognizes that the presupposition itself is one that they need to modulate and regulate. Feminine's trying to climb out of that state or space of assuming that masculine has their own intentions at play here, as opposed to thinking as it relates to what feels like it is in the best interest of the feminine. But this is feminine that is almost trying to build a point of confidence. They're trying to walk that path for themselves and say, how do I guard my energy? How do I find that point of positivity with masculine while also being very mindful and guarded to masculine, and almost waiting, assuming that the masculine is serving their own needs until they show me otherwise. Feminine is recognizing this right now, and they're almost trying to unpack it within their own self, even as they navigate situations or circumstances that may be feeling somewhat triggering with the masculine, because we saw the trigger point yesterday. Now, masculine energy and separation right now, this is exactly what we keep talking about. What does one do? What does one do when you are on a healing journey? And for a lot of the masculine energy, again, if you're on your healing journey, you effectively get this to a certain extent. You're like, how do I explain to them that I'm working on that healing, that I'm on that healing journey? Because it's almost the masculine having such close optics and being like, recognizing that it isn't something that you can say. It's not something that you can just put a patch on. You can't be like, I did it. I said the thing. They know. It's something that requires that patience, that effort, that energy, that consistency. And masculine energy, if you're in separation or if you're on your healing journey right now, this is, again, that same energy I told you right now that feels like it's giving us the energy, the same energy of the masculine in the divine union frequency of a momentary setback, but almost the recognition of the setback itself, the anticipation point of the setback, giving hope, is almost that point that is the difference between feeling like something is a lost cause versus feeling like something requires effort. And for a lot of the masculine energy right now, it is that point of unpacking and looking at something and trying to identify if there's something that feels like a pathway to hope here. Like, this isn't even masculine trying to come into a space or place of seeing immediate results for their efforts. It's almost masculine. Remember that teaspoon effect that we said we were seeing again? It's almost this masculine energy saying, give me a sign. Give me a sign of hope. Give me an instance. Show me that teaspoon exists. Like, that's what masculine's almost looking for right now. Both the energy in separation and the masculine energy in the divine union frequency. Right? This is masculine almost being like, moving with the heart space, like not needing to see any like big movement, but almost being like, is there hope here? Is there some kind of like, is this something I can have hope with, or is this something that I need to move away from? Masculine and feminine coming into feminine energy. This is feminine trying to work on their own observation of masculine. This is, again, and for the feminine energy in separation right now, this is going to feel like a lot of internal push and pull, because this is literally feminine energy in separation saying, I want to trust. I want to be able to trust, but I can't. Like that's almost coming. This is feminine trying to do that internal work right now. Like, and that's going to feel more like the feminine energy going through their own internal journey. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency, this is identifying whether the energy can give that 1 teaspoon. Remember how I said the energy right now that is coming through, that is putting pressure on the divine union forming, it feels like it won some kind of grand gesture. It feels like it won some kind of big moment. This is literally masculine and feminine looking at each other right now and saying, do you understand the difference between giving someone a teaspoon versus giving someone everything? It's all about the ratio right now, because again, while the energy in the divine union frequency intentionally went towards trying to heal some of this unhealed karmic energy, this is creating, this is trying to keep something preserved that's just forming here. And the ability to recognize, it's not even just ignoring something outright, but recognizing just how much you need to give something to be able to like smooth something out to a certain extent, is almost that point right now of recognizing whether these energies are staying in the divine union frequency, or if they're being pulled back out by the energy that sees them moving in that way. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Third card in our 5-card spread for today. Look at this. Look who's back upright. Masculine and feminine. This is what we see here. Again, I'm going to say it again. A lot of the masculine energy right now in divine union is trying to do a lot of work right now in healing karmic connections. And some of these karmic connections right now could even be in relation to other masculine energy. These are circumstances or situations. I called this like that energetic smoothing out of a sheet, if you will, trying to come into that state or space. The problem here, why we see that some of the masculine is feeling a little triggered right now, is because leading from the heart space in this way, like what happens when you like put your heart on your sleeve? It's that moment. Masculine's now remembering. Like that surge of confidence in leading from the heart space right now is almost leading that point of anticipation, because it's almost leading that point of not immediately getting back what you put forth. And it's that space in between that masculine is trying to ascertain right now, because this is the Mercury retrograde slowing things down. So for the masculine energy in this modality right now, the problem and the hurdle around this has to do with, is this quietude someone absorbing what was put forth, someone investing in it, or is this an energy that's just non-responsive, right? That it's that energy between right now that we see, and we see in a way, one of the ways that the masculine energy right now in divine union is grounding themselves is almost masculine, almost saying to themselves, I'm okay either way. I'm okay either way. Because again, this is almost masculine, and this is why we see that the energy in the divine union almost did this prep work before doing this, was almost this masculine energy reminding themselves, having to remind themselves, I said I would be okay either way. I told myself, I amped myself up. And this is the beauty of the divine union. This is masculine almost saying, I went through it with the feminine. I went through it with the feminine. I told the feminine that I would be okay either way. And that's why we see the value of the divine unions here, because almost like masculine saying that to the feminine already spoke it into existence, right? Masculine already hashed this out with the feminine right now in divine union. And this is why masculine's like, I said I'd be okay either way. I'm okay either way, right? Feeling the security and stability of the divine union, reinforcing masculine energy's own ability to remain steadfast in that point of patience. Seeing masculine in this modality, this might be, instead of saying that I told you so, I told you not to do, having that moment and being like, this is okay. We knew that this was going to happen. We knew that this was possibly something. We discussed this. Almost amplifying, reminding masculine. This is almost a moment for the feminine energy in divine union. You just need to remind masculine where they were a few days ago, right? You got to remind masculine. You got to be like, just remember a few days ago. Remember what we talked about. We already hashed this out. This is like feminine helping the masculine through their own lack of confidence by reminding them the feeling of stability they had just a couple days ago when they were moving forward in this way. It's almost that feminine is now like almost again putting that hand on the back of the masculine saying, you got this. It's okay. It's a difficult situation. But again, the energy of the feminine that is helping the masculine this way, not amplifying the instability point, is almost just like lending that degree and the security to the masculine and saying like, we anticipate that this could happen. Like this is not a problem. This is what we came to. This is what we expected. Helping with the masculine in that modality right now is effectively the best way to kind of bring that point of positivity back. Again, not amplifying the instability point or pointing fingers. None of that. None of that. Okay? Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency right now. This is how we see that the energy is maintaining the point of divine union. Because if there's energy right now that's trying to pull, rather than like the energy of the divine union that intentionally is trying to heal this stuff right now, this is not willingly being brought to the masculine and feminine's attention if the divine union's just forming. This is feeling like it's trying to rip you out of it. For the masculine and feminine in this modality right now, this is that ratio effect that I'm seeing. It's almost that point again of feminine almost amplifying to masculine and saying, yeah, that's odd. We're coming into divine union and then all of these people are coming out of the woodwork right now. They need to talk to you. They need to hash something out. They need to settle something. Feminine's almost looking at the masculine being like, that's odd. That's curious. Ratio. The recognition point. And again, masculine for feminine right now, this is feminine to see if the masculine's desire to manifest into the divine union frequency is something that they realize is all about recognizing the ratio of care, effort, energy, and attention you pay to anything that's trying to pull you out of it. That is not something that changes. That is a continual space that the masculine is going to have to inhabit to be able to stay in the divine union frequency. So this is feminine looking at masculine and saying, do you understand how to like give someone a ratio of your attention? Are these situations that you even need to give your attention to, or is it just best to leave them alone? Is it just best to like just let them let go? Because that is that moment that we're effectively seeing right now, that feminine is helping the masculine right now. Again, if in divine union, This isn't masculine trying to navigate these privately. This is masculine opening up, expressing, telling the feminine about this right now, amplifying and saying, what should I do about these circumstances and situations? Moving unilaterally is almost articulating the fact that the divine union frequency is being maintained. Masculine energy and in separation, and again, for masculine right now, this is that moment that you're potentially looking at right now. And again, if you're identifying this, if these are energies that are just coming up now towards you as you're coming into divine union, one of the reasons you're potentially staying there is that point of observation in seeing that this isn't energy that was around you at a point of separation. It was just trying to come towards you at a point of divine union. This is that moment of understanding and recognizing. And again, feminine may be helping you with this blind spot. Now, masculine and feminine. And for some of the energy, I'm going to say it again. If you are doing this, don't forget I said this. If you're saying to your counterpart energy right now, you guys found the divine union frequency, and you're saying, I'll be right back. I just need to go talk to this person. I just need to do this. No, you're not. This is literally feminine trying to say to them, let it go. Release it. Because that is, again, there's a moment that amplifies the fact that there needs to be the mutual agreement in the step to take. Because the minute you say, no, I'm just going to do this. I have to do this. This is almost that moment that we see that you're being pulled out of the divine union frequency. And this is almost feminine saying, you're walking out of that door and you're never coming back in again, or vice versa. Because this is feminine saying you don't even have the ability to do so because you're falling out of the frequency. Feminine energy in separation right now. This is that moment. What are we seeing that's happening here for feminine separation? I keep saying there's a lot of masculine energy around feminine and separation right now. The difficulty and hurdle is feminine is trying to discern right now whether the masculine energy is truly desiring a point of stability versus only moving for their own desires and intentions right now. If masculine truly desires divine union, or if they're still coming towards feminine just in looking for something that feels like it navigates or is in the direction of their own needs and fulfilling their own desires at this time. And feminine energy is almost employing a point, and again, it almost feels like, unfortunately for the feminine, saying, until you can prove to me that you are a stable energy, until you can prove to me that you are steadfast, that what you're offering is consistent, that you have that ability to hold a note, I'm going to assume you're the other one. And this is almost feminine, like trying to apologize to a certain extent to the masculine in this modality, being like, I don't want to be in this space or place. It's not something I choose. It's something that I have to be in, right? Masculine, if you are in separation right now, you could be recognizing this. This could be masculine putting their effort, energy, and attention towards feminine energy right now and almost saying, again, I know that you're doubting me. I know that you're doubtful. And there may even be a moment that, again, if this is energy trying to come into accountability, saying, I know I've given you reason to in the past. But it's that point of affirmation and hope here that's almost amplifying the energy between saying, like, I'm committed to showing you that that's not the case. And how is the masculine energy committing to show that that's not the case? It's not a masculine energy saying, let me show you it's not the case. Just do what I want. Just do what I want. Just do what I want. And I'll show you it's not the case. That's like feminine being like, no. This is masculine almost saying from a point of being like, I'm going to keep affirming to you that that is the case. I'm going to show you through my actions. And I'm going to show you not by forcing my case, but by amplifying to you that stability is present, because a stable energy doesn't need to amplify that they're stable. They just inhabit stability. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is our Hangman in its reversal. This is the problem with our retrograde energy. It feels like a bit of a nail biter, right? Everything kind of grinds to a halt. It makes you have to stay in a state or space that can feel a little uncozy and uncomfortable. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now, you anticipated this. You anticipated, and this is almost the thing that the feminine is amplifying. Not in reversal. Sorry, Hangman, just Hangman. Masculine and feminine in divine union. this is how you're helping each other, because this is about addressing circumstances and situations that were already uncomfortable, right? So how are the feminine and masculine energy in divine union? You're reminding each other that, like, this isn't a situation where that discomfort point is new. It's that you've added a catalyst to a situation that was already uncomfortable. You know what I mean? This is like the intentionality of, like, actually, like, pulling. It's like, yeah, we pulled the skeleton out of the closet and we put it on the couch and we put a little hat on it, right? It's like, it's unavoidable right now. This isn't a situation that is new. It is a situation that you are unpacking. And when we unpack things, things get messy, right? So this is almost the energy right now, building that sense of reinforcing to each other, saying it's gotten a little hairy. It feels uncozy, but we also anticipated. We prepared for that feeling of discomfort. That's what, like, the whole point was. It's almost like that moment of reminding oneself that whatever this is that you're moving towards right now, this karmic healing, you didn't do it because it was going to be easy. You did it because it was going to be hard, and you did it because it was already difficult. And in a way, it's like that point of understanding is what is supporting the energy right now that's going through this, particularly for the masculine who's having a point of a lack of confidence in their own abilities and their own plan. This is almost masculine being like, was that the right thing to do? And feminine's going, yeah, we agreed. We agreed it was the right thing to do. I've got your back. We are in agreement. And almost again, the need for patience in some things right now is the discomfort point. Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union, what's going to keep you in divine union? What did I just say the feminine is saying right now? We both agreed. So for the energy right now, if you're dealing with that energy outside of the divine union that's putting pressure on situations and circumstances, this is, again, the energy having that point of ability in terms of feeling the strength of having that mutual point and agreeing how to deal with the energy is specifically amplifying whether you're staying in the divine union frequency or not. Because if this is masculine energy that's feeling some uncertainty or lack of confidence, as long as you've been making these decisions with the feminine, you're going to get that same support. You're going to get that pat on the back that says, like, it's okay. You know, we can't accommodate for what that happens. We can't account for what you did. You gave that teaspoon. We agreed about the teaspoon that you were going to give a circumstance or situation that's putting pressure on the divine union. And we can understand, and this is almost masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency saying, you know, we have to accept that, like, some of that energy might always be uncozy due to the divine union being in formation. It's not that it's going to go away. It might just be the nature of the situations or scenarios. Masculine and feminine that are allowing that outside scenario to move you into a state of making choices without building that sense of mutual accountability and agreement on how to navigate them, congratulations, you're back in separation. Because this is masculine, it's like, I just need to talk to this person. I just need to do this. I just need to go. This is, again, and not conferring, not coming into agreement, not allowing that to be a moment that you build that choice together. You're effectively amplifying the fact that you're back into separation. Because that's that moment that your ratio is more importance on the energy outside of the divine union than maintaining the stability of the divine union. There could even be a lot of conversations right now, again, masculine energy. If you're doing this, if you meet with someone this week and someone's like, do they know you're here? If you hear anyone say, do they know you're here? Congratulations, you're in separation. Masculine and feminine. Feminine seeing this right now. If there's a masculine that's moving right now in this way, shape, or form, having these correspondences, having these communications right now, building that sense outside in terms of the energy putting weight on the divine union right now, this is that moment that you yourself are also observing that point in recognizing that this is something that you've fallen out of. This is like you're immediately falling into separation. But for feminine energy, it's the same exact thing right now. These energies are mirroring each other right now. Feminine, you could be going through the same moment. Now, masculine and feminine that are in separation, this is why we see that the feminine energy right now in separation is navigating those spaces and places where, again, it isn't the fact that feminine is trying. Feminine wants to assume masculine energy's intentions are pure, but feminine feels to a certain extent that they can't. There is a point of uncertainty here. But this is almost feminine energy that literally is trying to a certain extent to keep an open mind, to keep that hope and positivity that masculine energy's intentions are pure, but adopting a modality right now that is built on wait and see. This is feminine energy basically saying, I want to assume this energy coming towards me right now has the best intentions. I need to wait and see. Feminine almost recognizing that like they can't just take someone's word for it. They have to actually see that this energy can move in a way that shows that they are in fact in a space or place of being committed and consistent. Masculine in separation right now, this is that moment that, again, if you're trying to move towards feminine, this is that point of observation wherein you are potentially navigating circumstances and situations wherein you are identifying the fact that you may feel like this is the separation of self right now. This is potentially looking at the difference on where you used to be, who you used to be, versus who you are now. And like I said, it's a problem. It's like masculine energy feels like, to a certain extent, it's like you're struggling with that past version of self. You're having to have that point of accounting for like what that past energy was, even if you're no longer there anymore, even if this is outside energy. And again, this is masculine showing their own growth cycle in terms of spiritual and emotional growth. Because even if this is masculine having to deal with an energy that's protective due to circumstances like this in the past, this is masculine, maybe having that moment of being like, I remember that. You might feel like that memory is there. That point of being like, almost that point of acceptance or moving into it and being like, I may have also taken those missteps in the past, but it's your own ability right now to almost see that point of optics, to be able to recognize and see from the perception of the feminine is almost like what's showing and amplifying just how much you yourself have grown to a certain extent. And we see in that modality right now, you are also kind of, again, mirroring the feminine in separation right now and almost recognizing and saying to oneself, I can't tell you I've healed. You probably had a lot of energy tell you that they've healed. There's only one thing I can do, which is I need to show you. I need to show you through my actions. I need to show you that there's something here that I can show that I've actually done this work, that I'm actually consistent, that this is actually a path of growth for me. And this is masculine energy in this modality with feminine right now saying, I am committing myself to being consistent on that path. And this isn't a masculine forcing that activity point. This is a masculine that's almost saying, I am committing to showing you that I am at that point of stability if you're willing to receive it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our devil card, but let's discuss it. Nobody panic. It's okay. Why is this devil card out? Because what happens, masculine, when you start to doubt yourself, when you start to doubt your intentions, that is the devil energy creeping in. That is that, like, those are the unhealthy coping mechanisms, the bad modalities of thoughts, right? Those are those little things that are creeping in, that are whispering in your ear to yourself. Like, that's that internal moment with yourself that you're letting your own anxiety get the best of you, right? Masculine in this modality right now, that could be expressing itself as that feeling of doubting oneself, doubting what you're trying to do. Those doubts and those fears. Again, masculine, if you're in that modality right now, it's like you need to turn around and be like, it's you. It's like, I found you. There you are. Because it's that moment, right? This is how we see that this is an internal process of the self, because it's almost that moment where you're letting those doubts creep in. You're letting those anxieties. It's like that is what needs to be tackled right now. And much like the masculine, they're trying to ground your energy right now. is almost recognizing that when you're in those states and spaces, when you have to be patient, when you have to slow down, it's very easy for those unhealed thoughts to like simmer up to the surface, to start like, worst case scenarioing things, if you will. This is why the retrogrades can be so difficult, because the slowdown itself is the source of the frustration, because it's like it leaves, it's like that distance like leaves room for like you to just like think about like the most like the most difficult problematic situation or circumstance that is occurring, right? Feminine, you may be seeing this right now with the masculine. And I will say there may have even been some triggering energy yesterday, because we did see masculine and feminine, even in divine union yesterday, may have been triggering each other like wild. There be a moment right now, feminine seeing masculine, and this is what we need to work through too. Feminine seeing masculine having that point of a lack of confidence, stirs them up in you as well, right? But what we see here, and this is the beauty of the feminine energy right now, that is not letting themselves trigger or get triggered by the unhealthy, right? This is the transmutation process at work. The energy of the feminine, seeing masculine in this modality, you're not going to amplify this. You're not going to amplify this part. You're going to almost say to masculine and say like, it's hard to be patient. It's hard to have to wait. It's hard to be caught in that Mercury retrograde energy that kind of is that wait and see. All we can do is, what do we need to do with it? We need to ground ourselves in it. We have to just ground ourselves and confront the fact that staying in that space can almost, create an environment where like, our deepest fears, our deepest anxieties start to like come up to the surface. But again, this is why the energy right now that's in the divine union frequency is tackling this right now, because this is almost masculine and feminine saying, we took this into account. We knew that this was going to come up. Feminine was almost like, we knew and identified that this was going to be something that feels like it is triggering. Like this type of work is triggering. But again, the beauty of it is having that moment of observation, allowing oneself to ground as you're experiencing it, lets you see what those unhealthy thoughts are. Lets you observe them, as opposed to allowing oneself to spin out on them. So again, there's almost a moment right now that the divine union energy is just letting that be a moment of observing and feeling and expressing the anxieties, the doubts, the fears, but helping that amplify the stability and security of what you're trying to create for yourself right now. But it is feeling like a challenging space. It's feeling like a difficult zone. But I will point out, for the energy in divine union, there is almost that mutual point in saying, that feeling of doing that together is almost amplifying the fact that this feels more like a point of observation on what comes up, as opposed to allowing that to be a point of activation. Because in a way, the divine union itself is helping each other, holding each other from allowing themselves to like spiral out on those unhealthy coping mechanisms or those bad modalities of thought. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is why we see that this is such a fraught territory at this moment, because it's interesting to note, and masculine and feminine may be saying this to each other right now, coming into divine union. It's interesting to note what pops up to the surface like whack-a-mole the minute you start to look like you are no longer available. Because this is almost a moment that, again, masculine and feminine coming into divine union are navigating for themselves and saying, what has changed? If this is a masculine that's saying to the feminine right now, I just need to go see this person, I just need to go talk to this person, this is feminine almost immediately saying to masculine in this modality, what has changed? Why does this energy suddenly need to see you? Why does this person want to see you? What has changed? And this is, again, feminine trying to show masculine the blind spot. If the masculine can't see it, saying, why now? What has changed? If somebody suddenly needs to see you or needs to talk to you, what has changed? And that point of observation, again, for the energy that is in the divine union frequency, is almost helping to amplify to masculine and being like, well, the only thing that's changed is I'm coming into divine union. Yes, that's what's happening. Right. Okay, good. So this is almost feminine in divine union if they're staying in the frequency being like, do you see? Can you see? Like, this is why for feminine seeing this right now, it's almost that point. Feminine is also seeing that right now. These are energies that are mutually feeling this moment right now, which is why we see that there's potentially so much energy that may be falling back out of the divine union frequency, specifically because that's like, this is now that moment of recognizing and paying attention to observing what is coming up at the moment that something is forming. And it's that point of observation, what not the intentionality of energy, but the timing of energy, what's coming up as something is forming, that is allowing, much like the energy of that's already in the divine union frequency, to be mindful of what feels like it is productive or what is just showing up to cause problems. What is just the unhealthy coping mechanisms, the bad modalities of thought, or the unhealed karmic connections that are popping up as they find you're moving into a state or space of divine union. Masculine and some of this energy, unfortunately, you're going to fall into, will fall back into separation from this, especially, and again, if you are moving in a state or space of autonomy, instead of navigating these spaces and places together. Because that is the moment that you're showing that you're letting it already separate you. It's like guiding you down a corridor and you don't even realize that you're moving away from someone in the process. Masculine and feminine in separation, this is effectively going to feel like very triggering, fraught terrain right now. Because again, feminine energy, and this is why I want all of the feminine energy to ground right now. Okay? I don't want you catastrophizing. I don't want you building that point of anxiety. I want you to think about how you're feeling right now, like yoga. I want you to breathe and sink deeper into the feeling of grounding, because feminine energy right now is feeling very triggered by masculine energy. Feminine energy feels like there's a lot of masculine energy that is moving towards them at this time. It's a retrograde. Having to discern the intentionality of that energy to a certain extent, in a way, is creating a state or space for the feminine right now that feels deeply triggering, because it is a moment that you're kind of having to hold forth. You're having to hold back. You're trying to maintain a point of positivity. But at the same time, you are very anxious and you're thinking about like the worst case scenario around some situations and circumstances. And the solution is time. The solution is patience. Masculine in separation right now, this is that moment that you yourself, a lot of that lack of confidence, a lot of that anxiety coming up, this is going to feel like a lot of self-work right now. Because again, for a lot of the masculine energy right now, if you're moving in this state or space, what did I say is hard for you right now? You can't push this. You can't force this in. You can't be in a state or space of being like, I'm healed. I need you to give me a moment. I need you to I need you to like, let me show you that I'm healed. Like, you can't do that, right? It's a moment that you just have to ground in your own energy. You have to like, it is the difference between stating and moving from that space. And so for masculine energy right now, it's hard because even now, especially if you're trying to move forward to feminine in this way, you want to rush forward. You're feeling like you have to hold back. You have to move on the feminine's timeline. But at the same time, it's like you're seeing it. Remember when I said with the masculine in divine union being like, oh, like you're healing. Like even in the moment of you feeling that desire or need to push forward, but having to wait, you're seeing all of those unhealthy coping mechanisms popping up. You're seeing all of those unhealed modalities of thought So you have to let it be like a little game of whack-a-mole to a certain extent right now, because you have to let yourself move in the state or space of observing, just allowing them to kind of come through, and seeing and recognizing them within the self is the continuation of your healing. Continuing forward on these cards right now, between our King of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Five of Cups in its reversal, may I please have one card to clarify? This is going to be one of those days, a lot of effort and energy having to be put forth. It's going to feel like it's one of those days, feels like it's going to take a little extra, right? Today is going to be like one of those days. It just feels like it takes a lot of extra, because again, what's happened here? Masculine and divine union, putting forth in a way, not knowing what the result of that is, feeling that slowdown coming through, having all of that like unhealed stuff come to the surface in that moment of waiting, is almost a moment masculine energy that's requiring you. Remember what I said about like, how do you show you're really healing? You're not seeing, you're having that point of doubt, you're having that point down in your own self, you're having that moment of inconsistency, being able to hold forth in that is almost that amplification and recognizing for the masculine and feminine in this modality. This is the difference between doing something on a lark versus feeling like this is what you are inhabiting, right? So it's almost that moment right now that feels like, the way to almost see this, like it's better to give, right? It's like, this is something about looking at something and being like, this was not something, again, the affirmation here is, whatever this movement was, this moving to heal something, this like positive karmic direction, it's that reminder of saying, we don't give forth in that way with the expectation of getting something back. We do it because it is what one ought to do, right? So that's what the energy right now in the divine union frequency is saying to themselves right now, even as they move in this way, because it's almost that affirmation and saying, regardless of what the outcome is, this was not action, this was not movements built from a point of desiring an outcome. It is that moment of looking at something and saying, it's like holding that pose, if you will, having to maintain that point of uncertainty, but also feeling like, again, the point of confidence is the security and stability in saying, in a way, and this is like a good healed karmic energy, like, we agreed that this is how we would move, and we would do it again, and we would do it again, because it is not something that you're doing to get a response. It's something that you're saying, this is how we move. This is who we are. This is what we do. So for masculine and feminine energy right now, that point of confidence that you're building for each other right now in divine union is almost that affirmation and saying, this is, we are moving from our heart space. This is just how we move. Masculine getting that confidence boost potentially from feminine, like reminding masculine about that fact. Masculine and feminine coming into, and in fact is almost that moment that's kind of beautiful, because it's like, what the solution is? It's like, give more. Like, give more. Like, don't let it pull your hand away. This is almost like, give more. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost that feeling of affirming to each other and saying, it's like that confidence boost, saying, keep going, Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, what we are effectively seeing is, again, where are you putting your energy right now is going to amplify whether you're going to be in the divine union frequency or if you're pulling out of it, because there's energy from the past coming up. There's energy from the past coming up as energy is trying to come into divine union right now, saying, like, trying to restore things at this time. And again, it's not the question of restoration. It's the timing. It's all about timing, because the question isn't about whether the energy is actually coming from a state or space of wanting to heal something. It's about discerning if someone truly does want to heal something, or if someone's timing feels a little subject. If someone's timing feels a little uncertain. And again, one of the things that could be navigated here that could show you if this energy actually wants to heal something, or if they're coming towards you from a different point, is almost, again, that 1 teaspoon is effectively saying, now's not the time. Now's not the time. So recognizing that right now to a certain extent is almost this like moment or opportunity that we are here, like we are identifying, which is again, if this is actually moments, if these are situations and circumstances wherein someone's intentionality is really to heal, well, then the bright side on that is that you can say to someone, now I'd love to heal this with you. Now is not the time to heal it because I'm in the middle of building a divine union. But once I'm in the divine union, maybe we can address this at another time, because this is all about that moment. And that almost again, that amplification point, that when you're in divine union, there is a possibility of unpacking things together. But when you're just coming into divine union, there's a moment that you need to protect. You have to look at the divine union energy almost like something that needs to be nurtured and cared for. And this is almost a moment that we're identifying that requires that point of observation as to where you are putting your time, effort, and energy. So we see here that again, the energy that is in the divine, coming into the divine union frequency that's staying there is almost amplifying to the energy around them and being like, that's very nice of you to reach out. I appreciate that. I'm in the middle of moving into something, but good to know. Like, thank you. That 1 teaspoon effect, again, like that point of observing the ratio being, this is where I am. Almost immediately, the response to those circumstances or situations is literally affirming that there is a divine union there. Especially if any of this energy is coming towards the energy of the divine union with some aspiration or implementation of hope in restoration. This almost that point of saying, like, are you actually coming to heal, or are you trying to come pull, like, is this something about wanting, like, even that moment of recognizing that someone's intentions can be pure, but their timing could stink, giving someone the benefit of the doubt. Now, masculine and feminine navigating this right now, if this is the opposite situation, if you're moving into divine union and someone's saying to the other, I just need to go see this person, I just need to go see that, this is almost immediately, the minute that is expressed, it is the amplification to a certain extent that someone, like, that there's something that could hold up the divine union. It's like the minute you articulate that is almost like the minute you're recognizing that you're no longer in the frequency, because it's almost the observation point of saying, like, something needs to happen before I can maintain that note. So again, it's like even having that point, like the minute that creates that point where this isn't something that is mutually agreed upon, it's like you're already back out into the separation frequency. Now, masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is why the feminine energy is so careful right now, because this is almost some feminine energy right now that is navigating spaces or places where they've even feel like they've had experiences where masculine energy doesn't even recognize that they've moved in this way. This is what's so hard about it, because it's almost like this moment that we're seeing that feminine's almost like, if the masculine energy can't recognize this ability within the self, it's almost like feminine's like, I can't explain it to them, because it's like, like feminine's like, they're not going to understand. Like, it's like the feminine's like, how do I amplify this? Right? So feminine right now is almost moving right now in a space or place. If masculine's trying to come towards feminine, this is feminine that's like, words are not getting enough again. This is almost feminine saying, like, you can say anything you want. This is feminine almost saying to masculine right now, I'm trying to maintain hope, but I need to see. I need to practically see that your intentions are pure. I need you to show me through the degree and ability of being patient and consistent that this is something that you can maintain, because this is feminine that has experienced places and spaces in the past where masculine has articulated that they understood something, but then their actions did not match their words. So this is something that the feminine even recognizes to a certain extent may require a great deal of time. And for some of the feminine energy with masculine coming forward in this way, unfortunately, there could be something that feels more akin to healing as opposed to union coming back into play, because this is almost feminine, almost like having that point of reciprocity with a masculine, being like, you and I are okay. I understand the gesture by which you're telling me this, but it can never be the same. This is almost feminine saying, like, in a way, like, I cannot release that energy that I've seen from you in the past. It's too much for me to hold on to, but I appreciate the gesture. I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate the observation point that you're coming towards me with this, because in a way, feminine realizes that it is helping them facilitate their own healing. Now, masculine in separation right now, what we are effectively seeing is a moment that you yourself are moving in a state or space of, again, some of this energy we're seeing of masculine. You've been coming forth towards some feminine right now, trying to show them that you've grown in this capacity, that something has changed about you, that you're no longer who you were. The difficulty or hurdle, and again, we see that this is the same energy of the masculine that's in partnership, that's in the divine union frequency, is almost that moment of realizing that some of this doesn't feel like it's a healing moment. It might just be a release. It just might be a moment that like is like the closure point as opposed to a new beginning. So for a lot of masculine energy in this modality right now, it's almost like feeling that point of having given something and waiting to see is almost like amplifying why we see some of that like unhealthy internal energy coming up, because having to be in that space, it's like all those doubts and fears start rising up to the surface. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Cups in its reversal in combination with our King of Pentacles. May I please get one card to clarify? We have here our Ace of Swords. Now, masculine and feminine energy in divine union. What we are effectively seeing is, again, what is feminine energy amplifying right now to the masculine that's moving forward in this way? Masculine and feminine. Masculine is learning, right? This is more of the masculine embodying the lesson of the feminine, learning the gift of surrender, learning the gift that comes in letting go. Because something about this right now is having to be in that state or space. Again, masculine almost reminding themselves that when they decided to move in this vibration, they surrendered the outcome. They said to themselves, there's something I'm doing here and karmically that I don't know if it's going to have the impact I hope, but I'm doing it not because I'm hoping to get something back, but it's just how I move. It's just what I want to embody. It's just where I need to be. Even now for masculine, though, something about that space or place, it's hard because it's almost requiring a deeper level of internal surrender, you know? Having that be that moment of like truly saying to oneself, and the difference here, right? And this is what we've been seeing over the last few days between the masculine and feminine energy, is like, it's one thing for masculine to say like, I want to move forward and do this, to the feminine, and saying like, I'm going to surrender my consequences. I don't care what happens. And feminine being like, okay, like this was feminine almost looking at masculine saying that, being like, okay, like, because feminine feels that point of uncertainty that masculine can actually, you know, be in that vibration. But this is feminine trying to amplify. And again, this is why the feminine's not going to be in that I told you so right now. That's not going to be helpful. This is almost feminine, like trying to say to them, like, I know it's hard. But again, almost amplifying to masculine, being like, you decided to do something that was very difficult. And in a way, what we're almost seeing here is this is a moment that isn't articulating that something here is not going the way that masculine intended. It's almost masculine recognizing and realizing just how difficult moving in that way is. You know what I mean? It's giving a little bit of energy right now for masculine of feeling like you've bitten off something energetically or spiritually as it relates to your own internal path work that's harder to chew than it may have felt before you started. Like you put too many weights on you're like, I can pick up this weight. And you're like, oh my God, like that's like what's happening right now to a certain extent. But in a way, it's not from holding something. It's from having to release the outcome. It's from being in that space and just being like, I have to surrender myself. I can just move in that space of love and see what occurs right now. For masculine in divine union, it's difficult. Feminine's trying to amplify that they're there to support them every step of the way. And feminine, to a certain extent, this is very hard for the feminine as well, because seeing masculine in this modality almost reminds you to a certain extent. It's like you're having to remind the masculine that they are, in fact, still in that point of stability as a few days ago. It's just the fact that these circumstances and situations are triggering. And they're triggering to feminine as well, but feminine is just a little bit better at navigating it. is what we're seeing, but specifically with the support of the masculine, which is why we see that the masculine, feminine is trying to amplify in that point of security for the masculine right now and saying, you've got this. That feeling is what we like, that's a part of this. Now, and feeling those feelings is not something that you should stop yourself from feeling. This is almost feminine saying to masculine, you should feel free to feel what you're feeling because all of it is valid. Masculine and feminine coming into separation right now, this is that moment of surrender. This is that moment of, again, observing potentially. If you're moving into divine union and there's energy trying to come towards you, trying to like mollify, trying to heal in the midst of you, trying to build a divine union, there's almost a moment that we're seeing that's allowing the amplification of the divine union, which is almost amplifying and saying, now is not the time. Wrong time. Bad timing. Can't do it right now. Almost seeing here, to a certain extent, that the divine union energy is almost amplifying, like, I appreciate what you're trying to do, giving that 1 teaspoon, but almost saying, like, my attention's elsewhere right now. This is not the space or place that is demanding my attention, because it is depending, if your attention has to do with the energy trying to like heal in the middle of trying to form a divine union, it's just pulling you back out of the divine union frequency. It's almost that moment right now for masculine specifically that feels like, to a certain extent, and it almost like, again, it's that feeling of having to kind of disappoint some energy around you. But almost that point of amplification right now that's helping the masculine, especially if this is something that you're trying to move towards right now, there's almost that reminder of saying, like, you know, an energy that's truly intending to heal will probably be the type of energy that's intentions are pure. Will probably be able to take I'm indisposed right now. I can't heal that right now. I can heal it later, because this is masculine, again, amplifying and saying, like, I'm in the middle, like the divine union needs me here right now. What I have happening here is here. And for a way, like, masculine saying that is almost amplifying to the energy and saying, like, I'm okay getting on good terms with you, but I'm not surrendering the divine union. That's the 1 teaspoon. You see how that's the 1 teaspoon? Because that's masculine saying, like, I appreciate healing a karmic energy, but not if the karmic energy trying to heal something with me is actually doing so to try to pull me out of divine union. Masculine energy and feminine staying in the divine union frequency with masculine, seeing masculine be able to navigate, being able to look at things and courteously put that point of courtesy on them, is also further amplifying to you the fact that you're seeing a masculine that, again, is navigating and almost articulating to you the steps that they're taking in this way, is further amplification to a certain extent of that feeling or situation or scenario wherein you feel like that is allowing that point of seeing that change, moving into that frequency. A masculine that has like a point where they're letting things go. They're letting that be, like I said, the water off a duck's back. You know, a point of observation, but not one that becomes a point of concentration, is further amplifying the masculine's own ability of maintaining and staying in the divine union frequency. Feminine and masculine in separation right now, this is why the feminine in this modality right now is not necessarily looking for a masculine that's trying to drive home the point that they're healed, but is almost just having that stability and security in their presence, in the fact that there's something here that the masculine is expressing is not on their timeline. Having that point of observation from feminine in separation right now, that is almost, again, a masculine that is willing to sit forth as feminine does a lot of this internal unpacking for themselves, coming into a certain extent that we are seeing wherein feminine is looking for masculine energy. That's almost like, again, releasing the outcome. Remember, releasing the outcome, if you will, saying, well, what would you like to do? What does that look like? Like, again, this is literally masculine saying, I'm just here. I'm waiting for you to tell me what steps we're taking next. You know, like, it's almost that moment, again, finding that midpoint between building that sense of stability, but also releasing themselves of the outcome, kind of putting these things forth and saying, This doesn't, like, as long as you are, like, it's almost like a point of courtesy. Like, this is what I would like. Would you like that as well? Again, keeping that point of like offering something but not driving it home right now is almost how masculine is almost creating that space or state to try to amplify to feminine. Say, I'm healed. And you can, and like, this is masculine saying like the patience that masculine is able to employ in that matter in a way is almost amplifying masculine's own ability to truly be healed. Feminine energy that is in separation right now, this is what feminine is looking for from masculine, because feminine is almost at a point right now that, again, feminine is vacillating between, surrender and hope. Surrender and hope. Like, feminine's like, this is something that's like a complex territory for the feminine to inhabit right now. But we see here that feminine energy is effectively looking for the masculine energy that can recognize that feminine is in that space. That's not trying to change or accommodate feminine's energy and being in one or the other. Almost masculine being like, I get it. Like, you have every right to feel in both those spaces and places. And masculine almost being like, I'm not trying to stress you out of that. I'm just going to inhabit that space with you. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Pentacles in combination with our Hangman. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Eight of Cups in its upright. Now, masculine and feminine in divine union right now, what we are effectively seeing is that moment that, again, this is that point of observation, if you will. This is that point of recognition for masculine and feminine. In this modality right now, there is this point of observing the difficulty and hurdle of like leading with the heart space, and also recognizing what stands the ability to actually move in that way versus what you are moving away from. And like we said, a lot of that energy that we're seeing here, it's that point and that feeling of kind of leaving a gesture. Like, what do you do when like you leave a gift for someone? When you allow that karmic healing to come in, it's almost like you leave someone that like emotional karmic energetic token. You kind of say something to a certain extent, and this is how we know that it's leading from a space and place of love. Is almost that point of saying like, you don't need to give anything back in kind. It's more something that someone is doing for the sake of recognizing that that is what they aspire to do. And for masculine and feminine, we almost see here that for the energy in that modality coming into that space or place is, again, something that you just currently continually inhabit, not to elicit a reaction, but just because you desire to. So for that moment right now, it's harder for the masculine because it does feel like that waiting or that anticipation in terms of leading with love. Even now with the slowdown of the retrograde, it feels like that grief, that anxiety is coming up. But this is almost feminine energy kind of coming into the masculine and saying, don't worry about it. That's just the nature of it. What you were trying to do in that way, what you were trying to heal, like that's the way it goes. So regardless of which way it's taken right now, it's recognizing that like it's almost like that gift of saying like no gesture is left unappreciated, that all of it matters. That it's almost like that moment of understanding that's like helping the energy right now, even going through that point that feels like a bit of the slowdown that we come to with this retrograde. Now, feminine is almost trying to amplify and build masculine energy's own stability at this moment, even as they're feeling some of the frustration more than the feminine is. Feminine's more able to accommodate this space a little bit easier, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is about the ratio. This is about the ratio of where the masculine energy's attention is. Is this masculine that's holding forward in terms of what it is that they're trying to create for themselves at this moment? And a lot of it is this point for masculine that you're feeling potentially as you're moving into the divine union frequency, about feeling like one can be bittersweet in the sense that you're building a point of security for yourself in your own choices and your own stability, while also feeling like you're walking away from something. Right? Because something about this is almost amplifying right now, especially as it relates to some energy that's around the divine union, is almost this moment in seeing opportunities open up, being in divine union, it's like like again, the divine union, it's not the fact that there aren't any doors. It's like the divine union, there's doors all around you at every time. It's more about the choices that you make that amplify that you want to be where you want to be, that those choices are ones that you're effectively making. And we're seeing here that for the energy in the divine union, it's almost that observation point in, again, trying to build that center that's creating so much frustration for the energy right now that may be falling back out of it. Because again, if the energy right now is being pulled away from the divine union frequency by energy outside of it, then you've fallen back into separation. So masculine and feminine effectively feeling this so right now, giving that energy around you effectively like that 1 teaspoon effect. Again, not necessarily just moving in that space, like not necessarily caring, keeping your focus on the divine union. That's almost amplifying. And some of it is almost like, again, almost putting some energy off, especially if this is energy that's suddenly popping up around the divine union and being like, I need to talk to you right now. I need to talk to you, like we need to talk about something. But this is almost energy that's like, again, recognizing that the energy that truly wants to heal, that wants to move into a space or place of healthy karmic healing, it's almost the type of energy of being like, well, what you want, if healing is why you're coming towards me, if your intentions are fine, then we can put that off a little bit. We can wait a little bit on that. What is the rush? Why must it be now? Continuing to get clarity on this for masculine and feminine right now coming into that are in separation. What we are effectively identifying right now is for the masculine and feminine separation. This is why we see that the feminine energy is taking their time. They're utilizing this retrograde because, again, they're recognizing that a masculine energy whose intentions are pure, that's desiring the divine union, going through that work of healing, there's going to be a patience there. There's going to be a degree or level of stability that comes forward to a certain extent, but it's almost one that recognizes that this is a masculine energy that is comfortable with being uncomfortable, that's learned that ability, that's learned that space and place. So being able to be in that modality to a certain extent is being amplified right now by a feminine that's seeing that feminine's almost saying like, I am at a point of discomfort. You know, is this going to send you in the opposite direction by expressing to you my discomfort? Or are you going to hold that space with me? Masculine, you may be seeing this right now because these energies are mirroring each other. So again, the masculine energies that's healed is almost saying like, sitting in this space with you, I can definitely do that. It's also hard for me because that is also a moment that I am putting my own, desire apart to be able to find that point of comfort with you. But again, it's that moment or observation of masculine, if in that healing space with feminine, that almost affirms and says, I don't have anywhere else I need to be. And feminine almost saying like, I'm sure there's other things happening, and masculine being like, no, there isn't. I'm choosing to be in this space with you. I'm choosing to inhabit this space with you. And I'm not interested in those other things, right? This is almost masculine saying, I'm choosing to stay in this discomfort point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our hangman and our devil energy. May I please have one card to clarify? We've got here our emperor energy in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy. This is not an easy moment right now, especially for the energy in divine union, because masculine, feeling those doubts, feeling those fears, feeling that unhealed karmic energy rise up around you, even if it's intangible right now, the doubting of the self, having that point of stillness, not letting yourself be reactive on it, but just be observant. It's helping you identify your own limitations. And this is why we see for the energy right now in divine union, this is starting to feel like a little bit of a spiritual or energetic homework assignment for the masculine energy. Because it's almost a moment where you're saying to yourself, like, I was trying to lead with love. I was trying to tell myself that I wouldn't care. I was trying to move in that like point of like divorcing myself from like the results of something, but then feeling like easier said than done, right? What we're really seeing for a lot of the masculine energy right now in this modality is something that like feels articulated to like easier said than done. So even in that modality right now, we are recognizing that for a lot of this energy, this is a moment of masculine having to face a lot of your internal fears to a certain extent. But that's also effectively amplifying, and having that point of observation is almost recognizing within the self right now, and this is why the divine union energy is so helpful here, is helping to see that these are not necessarily honest aspects, but limitations within your own self. It's almost like feeling like those points, those uncontrolled thoughts, those unhealthy thoughts are like, those are the things that you need to tackle right now. It's like, there it is. There's the culprit. That's what I need to get to, because that's where it's becoming almost that journey of the self. And it may feel very hard right now for some of the masculine energy navigating this modality right now, because specifically we're seeing here that feeling, that lack of confidence in getting what you are expected, like having to like kind of hold in terms of seeing the results of your actions, are almost bringing up a lot of that unhealed karmic energy within you. But again, something that is observed is something that can be healed. So navigating that space or place and allowing it to be something that you like allow to observe and notate and let pass is almost amplifying the difference right now between letting yourself fall into that energy versus just observing and saying like, that's where my homework is. That's what I need to work on right there. Feminine, you may be helping masculine in this modality right now by helping them recognize the difference between something that is actually an amplified fact about the masculine, because there may be a lot of like unhealthy, negative, soft, like self-talk coming out from the masculine today, versus saying like, that's not true. That's not you. That's not you. This is almost like feminine helping the masculine recognize, like this is feminine almost pulling masculine out of negative self-talk on the self by amplifying and saying like, no, that's just that unhealed modality of thought that you're working to heal, right? So we see here that this mutual energy of masculine and feminine helping each other in this way right now, it still feels very triggering, because feminine seeing masculine doubting themselves like this is also something that's hard for feminine, because it also starts to make the feminine feel that way. And this could be a lot of that conversation about yesterday and reflectivity, because we saw that the energy yesterday was reflecting each other. So this could even be having to navigate some of those difficult situations from yesterday and approaching them in different ways, because feminine is almost saying like potentially as well that feminine is also feeling triggered. So it's almost like looking at this right now and making sure that you're observing the triggering thoughts or the feelings, as opposed to letting them dominate the situation or circumstance right now. Now, and it may come through to a certain extent of masculine, like maybe even going forth from like some point of apology today to amplify those moments that they may have felt like they let those energies get the better of them, the internal energy. Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is the amplification or the feeling of masculine and feminine having to navigate unhealed karmic energy potentially around the divine union that feels like it's pulling you out of that vibration. And it's difficult. We're almost seeing here that, again, there's almost this point of recognition that the feeling of the masculine being more susceptible to it to some way, shape, or form. But recognizing this to a certain extent, again, masculine energy, much like the energy of the divine union, not letting that energy be a point of reactivity, but more a point of observation, is what is allowing you to do that work of continual healing, because it's recognizing that internal energy. That again, it's the energy that is like what is an unhealed karmic energy if not an energy that is able to bring up our own unhealed modalities of thought. So for a lot of the masculine energy right now, even in the divine, coming into the divine union frequency, this is something that feels like it is very triggering. But again, it's not letting yourself react to the trigger, but allowing yourself to hold forth is what is helping you identify something that feels like it's actually good for you versus something that feels like it is oppositional to what you're trying to manifest. Feminine, you may be seeing a masculine in this modality right now, and you may also be feeling triggered to a certain degree because even at the best moment, identifying and seeing energy around the masculine that triggers them in this capacity is something that immediately triggers the feminine, because again, it is a moment that the feminine starts to build upon their own internal doubts and fears around masculine energy that may have been more susceptible to that in the past. So for both energies right now, holding forth and giving each other support as you're coming into that divine union frequency right now, not letting yourself like move towards those triggers, but effectively making sure that you're moving together and that you're supporting each other along the way. Even today, it's going to feel like very heavy energy, but one that you can like, again, like it's got to hurt before it heals. You know what I mean? Masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, this is why we see that the feminine energy is moving so cautiously right now. They're not feeling like a lot of desire or degree to move in any kind of way, shape, or form right now, because feminine right now is trying to ascertain whether the masculine energy around them right now is moving in a state or space of their intentions being pure or not. And that's hard because for a lot of the feminine energy, a lot of this energy that we're seeing right now in this retrograde feels like a lot of that like unhealed karmic connection is coming to the surface, either based on past memories and experiences or personal immediate anxieties and doubts and fears, those unhealed coping mechanisms. But what we really identify and appreciate right now for the energy in this modality is almost this point of observation right now in terms of recognizing energy that is trying to potentially pull you out of what feels like that point of like holding forth, if you will, versus energy that effectively isn't showing that level or degree of patience or steadfastness, because this is almost that moment right now that is amplifying the intentionality of the energy of the masculine based on how they are effectively reacting to things right now. Feminine's almost looking right now towards masculine, and they're trying to ascertain if this is a masculine that has an ability to like hold their own ability of self, having their own ability right now to like overcome their own desire versus where they find the feminine at this moment. For feminine right now, there's almost this like point that the feminine's just not in a state or space where they're feeling eager to open up to the masculine, but almost feeling the anxiety of seeing a masculine potentially walk away from them at this point is almost helping to amplify, you know, how the masculine reacts. If this is a masculine that says like that appreciation of where they find the feminine right now versus almost trying to like, you know, take that as like a sense of like frustration or expressing some kind of frustration, this is almost like going to further amplify that closed off nature of the feminine in separation. Masculine in separation right now, you're very much in the same state or space where you may be feeling very triggered right now because even seeing the feminine at that point of holding back, it's like your own doubts and fears do rise to the surface to a certain extent, because again, there's this feeling of trying to put a care or level or degree of care into something, not immediately seeing the same in kind, in a way is that trigger for you, even as you may recognize why you are seeing or having that expressed from the feminine. So even now, for a lot of the masculine energy and healing, it does feel like these circumstances and scenarios are triggering, but it almost feels like a point of like allowing this to be a personal journey as you try to overcome your own unhealed karmic energy. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Pentacles in combination with our Ace of Swords, both in their reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? The Fool in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union right now. This is that moment. It's like, it feels like it's a release process. It feels like it is a release process because ultimately this is that moment of recognizing again, all you can do is what you can do. This is masculine and feminine moving in that space or place of reaffirming to each other the commitment on how you're moving forward in this way. recognizing that in a way, even that act of doing so feels like something that's almost like an ongoing act of surrender, right? It's almost that feeling of ongoing surrender, but it's the fact that you're making the intentional choice to move in that vibration is what is allowing for breakthroughs. It's allowing for new pathways. It is that sense of recognition that there's something here that like requires that level or degree. Like the divine union itself is one that you're committing to over and over and over again. And it feels like an act of ongoing surrender. But like the more that you're able to surrender into it, the more that you're able to move forward. So in a way, it's like that point of amplification is like the work that you're doing in this way that is allowing for those breakthroughs. It's allowing for those situations, because this is masculine and a feminine, basically, again, continually going through a point right now of choosing to fall together as opposed to falling apart. It's coming into that space or state of like recognizing that this is like that ongoing investment. And it's not just the energy right now that's in the divine union frequency. For the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is like moving that into a state of being. But it is like creating that like space or state wherein you're like guiding yourself forward and you're supporting each other along the way. Now, masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency right now, this is that moment or that space or place of observation wherein you are feeling, this is that ratio of the 1 teaspoon that we're talking about, having to look at circumstances and situations outside of the divine union to determine how much time and energy they get versus what needs to be let go of. That is amplifying that ability of moving forward into that divine union frequency, because it's that point of observation in terms of, again, amplifying the fact that you're holding the consistency on what you are choosing for yourself. And that's something that you do at every moment. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. The feminine in separation, this is why we see feminine energy right now. There's a lot of like that exhaustion energy that we're seeing for feminine right now, because this is feminine energy in separation that effectively is investing this in themselves right now. They're almost like feminine energy in separation is almost like navigating a state or space where they're not holding fast to the idea of coming into divine union. They're almost releasing it. The point of releasing is almost, I'm almost like building a sense or degree of saying, I don't need it. It would be nice to have, right? If I find it, it'll be positive. If I don't, that's okay too. Because that energy right now of feminine, which again is like that anxiety mixed with hope, is what's helping the feminine navigate right now to make sure that they're finding the energy that they're actually seeking. Because feminine energy isn't seeing partnership as the end game. Feminine energy is seeking divine union, recognizing the desire for divine union and wanting to find the right energy that is also invested on that same path. Masculine energy and separation right now, this is potentially finding this path for yourself at this moment. And it does feel like a change in terms of how you move forward at this time. Because there's that moment that, again, you're recognizing that partnership doesn't feel like something that you just offer someone like a box of chocolates. You can't just give it to someone and say, good, we're in divine union now. It's something that you constantly have to choose. It's something that you have to always inhabit with your actions. It's a state of being. And so recognizing this right now, coming into that work, is what feels so difficult for masculine, because again, it's trying to, even in separation right now, helping energy recognize that you are on that path right now feels like it is difficult, because it's almost feeling the amplitude of having to like readdress or reconduct yourself in terms of like, how do you express this? How do you articulate this? Because it's not something that you can push forward so much as something that you need to embody. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Swords in combination with our 8 of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Oh, look at this. I just need to stress this, guys. Literally yesterday, these two both came out and they were both in their reversals. Okay? What do we see here? They're both out again and they're both in their upright. So what we're really identifying is, again, for the energy of divine union, this is that moment. Mutual support is the name of the game. It's especially for the masculine right now that's feeling a little bit, there's definitely something here about the masculine feeling a little bit like their confidence in their own self and their own abilities feels like it's being tested or shaken to a certain extent. We see here that this is masculine and feminine almost like righting their own ship to a certain degree, because this is, what is the masculine and feminine saying right now in divine union? We're okay. The stability's here. The stability is the divine union frequency. As long as the energy of the divine union's here, we can maintain, we can continue forward in this way. Because this is, again, the point of recognizing the priority is in the energy of the union itself. It's that affirmation of saying, as long as we continue forward in this way, we've got this. We can continue. Because our priority is not, again, it's not built on the outcome. It's built on feeling like there isn't an arrival point to reach. You've already effectively arrived. Masculine and feminine in that modality, grounding in the energy right now, is helping through any of these feelings of frustration or anxiety or unhealed karmic energy that's coming up today. Because again, it's being able to hold on to the other as that point of a healthy mirror that's really helping to ground right now. Now, masculine and feminine right now that are coming into the divine union frequency, it's the same exact energy. You're now starting to reflect the same energy that's already in the divine union, because again, it's not about the fact that there isn't this feeling that there are some healed karmic energies that are around the divine union. You're holding forth in them. You're utilizing, you're making the same determinative actions. You're moving mutually in terms of determining how to do so. Your priority is on one another, i.e. the divine union. And even through your words and actions, it's almost something that you don't need to go have a long conversation with someone about, because it's self-evident. This is almost that point of recognizing, again, that 1 teaspoon effect is on the outside energy, because the majority of your time, effort, and energy is invested on what you're creating in the divine union. Now, feminine energy in separation right now, this is why the feminine is moving right now with a state or space of feeling to a certain extent like they're releasing the possibility or the need of a masculine. Because this is a feminine that in separation right now says, I don't need a masculine energy. I am looking, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what I feel is most aligned to. This is feminine energy saying, I am looking for an energy that is similarly aligned to me. I am looking for an energy that is also trying to build this with me in the same way that I am trying to build this. This is feminine energy utilizing discernment and saying, I'm not going out to seek this. If I find it, wonderful. But almost a feminine recognizing that the masculine energy seeking divine union is going to be the one that effectively finds the feminine to a certain extent to this, because it's almost the feminine being like, I'm going to find them on the path. I'm going to find them on the way. I'm going to continue to build and manifest what I'm trying to create for myself, recognizing that the energy that knows and recognizes that they want same in kind will see and find me if I am able to embody that frequency. This is feminine almost saying, I'm just going to embody the frequency myself and wait for the counterpart energy to find me. Now, masculine energy in separation, this is effectively a bit more difficult, because this is a moment that you yourself are in that modality of trying to build this for yourself at this moment. You've come into that point of building that understanding of the self. You're effectively, if you're here and you're healing, you want this for yourself at this time. And this is also a moment right now that effectively you're trying to take new approaches to be able to come into communion with energy, because you're recognizing right now that it's not something that you can how, you know how absurd it is to try to drop something. This is like what you're recognizing right now, masculine in separation, that is almost this moment of being like, you can't drop that in front of someone if they're already there. You know, this is this is like that Monty Python skit where someone's like, I've already got one. Like, it's feeling a little bit like that with the masculine energy, which is more of the fact or the feeling that what you're trying to build with the feminine is not something that you can gift them. This is literally like knocking on the door of the right feminine and like being like, I've got one. And they're like, we've already got one. And you being like, oh, it's more something of saying, well, I would really like to share it with you. You seem like I would really like to share that space with you, which is why we see that for a lot of the masculine energy and healing, this is a shift in focus, because it's not you feeling like you're giving someone a prize so much as you're finding someone that feels like you can already share in that sense together. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 8 of Cups in combination with our Emperor in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. This is the problem with the retrograde time. Everything grinds to a halt. Everything grinds to a halt, right? So like even now, the masculine energy, masculine energy is feeling the weight of this grinding to a halt much more so than the feminine is. Masculine it's more triggering is what we're really seeing. Even for the masculine, because there's a point right now that we're seeing for the masculine in part in divine union frequency. There's something about this where you anticipated that this would kind of be the vibe, but it's hard. It's like preparing for winter, saying that you know what winter is going to be like, and then going outside and being like, my face hurts. This is cold. I forgot how cold it was. This is masculine. You're feeling, masculine in this modality right now. You're just kind of reminding yourself and being like, even knowing a thing, experiencing it, having to navigate it is always a little bit harder than anticipating it. So just because masculine energy that you kind of set yourself on this path, there may be this observation that it just feels a lot harder as you're doing so. But we also see here to a certain extent that point of observation, if you will, is also helping the masculine right now, because again, it's almost allowing you to, much like a difficult yoga pose, sink into the rest, sinking into that feeling, not letting yourself get triggered by it, but just accepting that this is a time thing. This is something unique to this time. And much like everything, the nice thing about things that are time related is that they pass, right? They pass. So masculine, this is going to feel like a little bit of like hibernation, if you will, like emotional or spiritual energetic hibernation, as you feel a little bit of that like unhealed karmic energy popping up around you right now. But you're almost like, again, letting yourself not like run from it or react to it. You're just letting yourself kind of sink deeper into it, right? Just embodying and giving yourself that rest. Feminine in divine union right now, you're also feeling this. The problem with this right now for feminine is, again, this is a moment where you're seeing your feminine. The problem with this is like feminine, you may have anticipated that you were going to see masculine in this modality. You couldn't really articulate that you would. You just knew it kind of was going to, like, it was going to be there. But now you have to kind of navigate it. But we see here that restlessness, again, feminine is almost, again, much like the masculine, amplifying this need or ability to just rest, to just allow oneself, not to like get reactive to it, but just to give yourself like the time and the space and the easement that you need to allow that to like, again, just let that unhealed karmic energy like pass, if you will, and like just knowing that this is like momentary, right? Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency, this is literally the time element being added to make sure that you're amplifying whether something is actually coming towards you for a good reason or if there's another reason at play. Masculine energy, if you're about to move into divine union, is there energies popping up around you that wants to do some repair work, this is almost that moment that's being amplified and being able to identify that like someone with good intentions is something that like isn't going to be rushed. It's not going to be on their timeline. It's almost like that moment for masculine right now, that point of observation that you may be receiving right now from feminine energy is like, again, if someone's intentions are pure, that's great. Someone with pure intentions, they're not going to feel rushed to be able to fix something. You're going to be able to take as much time as you want to be able to fix it. So for masculine energy in this modality right now, it's that point of observation about intentionality, that if you're choosing to stay in the divine union frequency, it's almost that moment that you're recognizing that it's okay. that if someone's coming towards you and the time isn't right, then because you're in the middle of building that divine union, then it can wait. And of amplifying that to a certain extent is almost showing the fact that, like, in itself, your priorities on the what feels right for the divine union and not wanting to do anything that you feel is going to create a space or place where the feminine doesn't feel stable. And that's almost saying to masculine and saying, like, again, no, it's not the fact that you don't want to heal something, but again, something that actually wants to heal for like a good reason. Maybe they just picked a really, really crummy time. And giving someone that benefit of the doubt is what's amplifying right now to masculine, whether that feels like an energy around them at the divine union that says, of course, no, this can wait. Versus energy that suddenly is like, no, it needs to be now or never. Because that's now giving masculine all the amplification as to whether the energy is actually coming towards them from good, positive reasons, or if they're just trying to pull the divine union energy out apart. Masculine and feminine, though, there are some energies here where it's like the masculine potentially is moving out of divine union frequency because, again, if this is a masculine that's insisting, especially if there's a moment of feminine saying, if this has good intentions, it can wait till later. If this is masculine that's moving away, this is feminine almost saying, like, this is not coming back into divine union. You're showing me at a moment that you need to be here, that I'm asking you to let something rest, that you're walking away from something. This is falling out of divine union. And this is feminine almost saying, like, you don't want to be in divine union. You're utilizing the divine union to build some new path for yourself, right? And so for a lot of the feminine energy, this is why we see that so much of the feminine energy right now is at a point of feeling so guarded as it relates to masculine energy. Because this is a feminine that has potentially, again, if in separation, because if this is energy that's just come into separation, is feeling the weight of the frustration of a masculine that just couldn't create closure from situations or circumstances, couldn't let something close, but instead is pulled out of the frequency with the inconsistency of effectively not recognizing that, like, choices matter. So we see here that for a lot of the feminine energy right now, the reason we see that this is feminine energy that is feeling so guarded from masculine is due to that fact of, again, feeling the anxiety of masculine that may not necessarily even anticipate or recognize this, but it's that inconsistency that almost identifies or articulates a lack of mastery of the self, because this is almost energy of masculine that feels like they have no mastery of the self because they don't have the ability to, like, walk away from any opportunity. It's like creating a state or space of feminine feeling that sadness of masculine energy that's too easily driven by distraction. Masculine and feminine, masculine energy in separation right now. This could be something that you've observed about yourself. And even now there's something about seeing the feminine in this modality, potentially if in separation, that's asking you to wait on something that's almost amplifying something within your own self that you potentially recognize that you need some work on. Because again, we're seeing here with masculine energy right now, this is that moment that feels like a bit of a struggle point for you as well. Because there's a moment here for masculine where you feel like you're putting yourself forward right now and you're questioning as to whether that patience is actually like a dormancy period or that anxiety point of someone asking you to wait but actually walking away. So we have to be mindful of that too, because this is something that is very triggering to the masculine experience. This is the masculine's abandonment wound. This is why masculine gets anxious around these periods of waiting, because masculine is worried about the difference between something that is taking a long time versus someone walking away and leaving them behind. So making sure that everyone is articulating clearly is really important right now, because everybody's getting triggered. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool card and its reversal in combination with our Queen of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Empress in its reversal. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. This is where we are seeing like masculine and feminine right now are both going through a little bit of a period that feels like a bit of like a I want to say this is going to feel like a little bit of a creative drought, if you will, a little bit of a passion drought. Masculine, like these energies are like completely mirroring each other right now. Masculine's not feeling that height in their passion space. Feminine is not feeling it as well. Masculine and feminine are moving very much in that practical zone right now, just trying to build that point of stability. So it's not surprising to see the feminine mirroring like feminine and masculine. I have to stress there's a lot of mirroring that's happening right now. So these energies are very close to each other, which means one has the reactivity point and the other one is immediately going to respond. So feminine seeing masculine doubting their own self. The problem is feminine sees masculine doubting themselves and fears that the masculine's doubting the feminine. So this is a bit of that unpacking that needs to happen on both spaces, because we see here that there's some triggers that are getting hit. And again, why it's really important to make sure that you're supporting each other right now is because this could go sideways really quick, even for the energy that's in the divine union frequency, that could span from masculine feeling that anxiety point and feminine embodying it as a point of personal assault, like personal injury. So for both energies right now, being very supportive that whatever you're feeling, the other person's probably feeling as well. Making sure that you navigate that is almost, again, make sure that you're amplifying, even in divine union, the positive instead of the negative. Because like there's a lot of triggering energy here right now. And this gives like a lot of that possibility of like Mercury retrograde domino effect that could happen here. So we don't want that. So just make sure that you're staying in that positive grounding. I'm going to keep saying this. It's been the watchword for 2 days right now. Ground, 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 ground. Ground yourself. Grounding is key. Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, what we're effectively seeing, again, it's not that there's assumptions. Again, energy that is coming towards the divine union right now that's potentially pulling apart the divine union has a lot more of a directionality point towards the masculine right now. There's a moment, and we're seeing it. Both energies are reflecting it, because this is literally a feminine right now, and this is why everything could go sideways really, 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 really quick. Masculine, this is almost feminine. If you're staying in the divine union frequency, this is that mutual accountability that you're reaching right now in terms of feminine giving you some opportunity on new pathways to seek. Because again, if you are articulating right now to a feminine, if you're coming into divine union and you're amplifying that there's some other energy around you right now that suddenly feels very like needs to talk to you or needs to have that conversation, this is feminine energy that's almost, again, amplifying and saying, if that is true, if that energy just wants to heal for the sake of healing, well, fortunately, there's no clock on that. There's absolutely no clock on that. You can do that anytime. So this is literally feminine saying, if this is a feminine energy that is put off by you telling them that now is not the time to meet about that, then this is feminine energy effectively saying, then you have identified that that energy is not just coming through because they want to be like buddies. This is feminine energy that's got some kind of other motivation to come towards you at a time that they see that we're building something together. Masculine energy in this modality right now, you could be realizing and having that point of observation with the feminine. That point of observation. Now, I will say there's some energy right now that's going to be pulled into separation over this, because if this is masculine energy that's insisting or trying to say, no, 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 I need to address this, I need to deal with, no, feminine's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you're saying that there's something that cannot wait that you need to address, then that is immediately pulling, like this becomes a flip-flop. This is feminine being like, this is literally feminine being like, I thought it was like this with us. It's not like this. It's like that. Do you see that? This is feminine recognizing if masculine says, no, 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 I know we're creating something, I just need to talk. This is feminine being like, I thought it was this. It was this. Because that is masculine. That is, again, not recognizing that fact of building that sense of keeping the center or maintaining and identifying what that center looks like. Because this is feminine almost saying like this energy is amplifying to you that they have that. Now, masculine that's pulling out of this right now, this could be a moment if masculine you're falling into separation. This could be a moment that you are feeling like you are very close to moving into divine union, but then suddenly now everything feels really confusing and you're going to try to blame it on the outside energy. But is it the outside energy? Is it the outside energy? Or is it something about showing that you're vacillating between 2 points? So masculine energy in this modality right now, being able to choose to hold that center as you're moving into divine union and being very cognizant about energy that's trying to pull you out of it, is going to effectively help identify whether that energy, again, is something that you have that desire to move into divine union with right now, or again, potentially falling back into separation. This is something that may feel like, again, a lot of triggering energy right now as it relates to coming into the divine union frequency. Now, feminine in divine union right now, again, seeing masculine kind of just pushing something away, being like, again, that is that point of recognition and feeling that security and stability. But even now, seeing masculine struggling with this could be very triggering to the feminine. Masculine and feminine in separation, this is why the feminine energy is feeling so closed off to masculine right now. Because this is feminine energy that is almost feeling that anxiety point in masculine, not being able to hold a center of focus in terms of what it is that they truly aspire and desire in relation to like their own path. So for feminine right now, this is literally a mass feminine that is trying to see via V, building a slow experience with masculine, whether this is masculine that is vacillating between different energetic points, or if this masculine like truly understands that to build something, you need to have a lot of intentionality of purpose and a lot of consistency. Masculine and masculine energy in separation right now. This is that moment of potential observation right now as it relates to potential past circumstances or experiences. And it's amplifying how you move forward from this point, because this is a moment for masculine right now versus the difference between, building that stable center. And for a lot of the masculine energy right now, this is again for the masculine energy in separation. What do I keep seeing that's happening right now? For masculine energy in separation right now, this is that point of understanding of the self that's leading to dual path work right now. This is either masculine energy looking and seeking to build forward right now and building that point of stability with new feminine energy, or this is coming through as an act of repair. The problem with masculine energy is you need to realize you can't do both. And one of the things that you may have recognized that you may have done in the past that may have caused you to be in the space and place that you find yourself now is recognizing that you cannot build forward with someone while you're still trying to fix something from the past. You can't walk 2 roads at the same time. You need to choose a direction, because if you don't, you're going to get yourself in the same exact space that you find yourself now. Okay? You don't go anywhere. You're just running yourself in a circle. So making sure that you're able to stay focused on a path and a direction is what is going to get you out of whatever this rut is that you're currently experiencing. And it's going to require some consistency on both energies. I'm telling you right now, the feminine energy around masculine right now is either focusing on their own stability or outright rejecting masculine right now, because they feel like masculine's inability to pick a direction has got feminines going, I'll just go that way myself. Masculine. All right, that's it for that one. Continuing forward on these cards right now. Between the Queen of Pentacles in combination with our 4 of Swords, may I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with everybody's feeling impatient today. Guess what? We're in the middle of the Mercury retrograde. Everybody's got to wait. And what does no one want to do? Nobody wants to wait. Nobody wants to wait. Everybody has to wait. Everybody's getting triggered today. Everybody needs to ground, drink some water, slow down, and not let the unhealthy energy is that feeling of needing to rush things. Slow things down. If things need to be slow right now, why are you trying to speed the process up? The problem here is trying to speed up the process. Feminine is almost trying to amplify this to masculine right now. saying slow it down. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union, it's a little bit easier because it's almost that point that you recognize you're not trying to reach a destination, you're already there. Where are you in such a hurry to go? Where are you in such a hurry to go if you're already there? You don't have to go anywhere. Just slow it down, right? But that feeling, that needs to be navigated. That needs to be tackled today. So navigating the feeling of frustration when you got nowhere to go. This is antsiness. This is literal antsiness. If you don't have anywhere to go, why are you feeling so antsy? Right? Like that's literally, it's like, it's creating that. It's that feeling of like preparation coming in. Feminine is experiencing this a little bit easier than masculine. Feminine has to kind of bring this towards the masculine a little bit today, we're seeing. Because feminine, there's a lot of potentiality of feminine feeling a little triggered today. Masculine energy, you may be feeling right now that like level or degree of that similar, this is shared work right now. Both masculine and feminine are navigating this right now. Masculine, it may be coming through more due to the fact that you're almost masculine. It's going to feel more like this is an internal issue right now. Feminine is feeling more like there's a lot to get done. Like a lot to get done, not enough time to do it. Like, again, it's that feeling right now between wanting to rest and wanting to take action on things right now. It's creating a little bit of like, this is like a retrograde where there's like too much to do and not enough time, is what we're saying. Like that's almost that feeling we're seeing. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, that feeling of give it a rest is like the solution. That's why the message is coming through. If something is actually in the benefit of the divine union, then it doesn't need to be on anyone else's timeline. What are you in the hurry for? If someone just wants to come towards you from a state of healing, well, that's good because healing is not linear and it doesn't require a tight time frame. And if someone just wants to come forward from the sake or space of healing, then it can probably wait. And we see here for the energy right now coming into divine union, it's that point of observation in saying if someone's intentions are pure, then they can wait. That is helping to amplify and articulate whether it feels like that is actually a situation or circumstance that requires healing, or if it has more to do with someone having an agenda. So for masculine and feminine in that modality right now, it's that point as well that is being amplified and articulated and assessed. The energy that is staying in divine union is discussing this between themselves. They're having that point of mutual conversation. The energy that is moving back into separation over this is almost, again, feminine saying, if it isn't a rush, why are you in such a rush about it? If this isn't a big deal, then why is there such a timeline on it? Because this is feminine energy that is potentially watching to see if this is masculine energy that is truly able to maintain the consistency and staying in divine union, or if there's something about this that is amplifying to feminine, that this is not something that masculine is able to maintain, because this is still masculine that's able to be pulled away by energy that demands their attention. This is feminine saying, show me where your center is. Masculine in separation right now, this is potentially something that you're potentially amplifying if you're staying in divine union, because you're almost observing and saying to the energy around you, like, water off a duck's back. You're like, that's great. That's great that you're coming towards me and you want to heal or you want to fix something. I'm a little busy right now. Now's not the time. Again, the divine union needing the concentration point as you're moving towards it, deeper into the heart of it. Masculine and feminine, because again, what happens if like you're moving this way, someone's trying to get you off course? Masculine and feminine in separation. This is why feminine is now taking their sweet time. Feminine is working on their own timeline, because feminine energy is in a moment where the feminine has a lot to do and they need more rest and they feel like they don't have enough time to do everything that they need to do. So feminine right now is going to be very short of patience, especially as it relates to some masculine energy and separation right now, almost waiting to see and say, again, are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? This is feminine almost saying like, and again, unfortunately for a lot of the masculine in this modality, it's going to feel like a little bit of feminine taking a bit more of that, like not having time. But again, I will say This is a kind of masculine energy. If you're in this modality, maybe a lot of kind of being like, it's okay, I'm not here to do something, I just love to watch you work. Right? There's almost the masculine having to almost like occupy a space and stays and say to the way, in a way, to the feminine, I'm happy doing nothing with you. I'm happy doing nothing with you. We don't need to do something, especially if you're too busy. I just want to kind of do nothing with you. Like building that space, or almost kind of having this moment right now with masculine. Like one of the things we're seeing with masculine moving in this way is almost amplifying, saying, I'm not here to get you off your course. I'm not here to drive you away from what you need to do. I'll take whatever you can give me and whatever you need. Final card for today's spread between our Empress in its reversal in combination with our Temperance in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Hermit in its reversal. So this is really interesting because, again, feminine and masculine in divine union right now. This is that energy, and it's going to feel a little bit like a prickly pear today, because masculine and feminine, depending on how you treat each other today, being in proximity to one another can either be something that is empowering or something that feels like it is somewhat triggering, because we see here that both energies are feeling some point of frustration and anxiety, and if you're not able to ground through it, you're going to trigger each other potentially. So even the energy in divine union right now, having that point of recognition, giving each other the space that you need, is going to be very valuable and important right now, because we see that both is creating a little bit of that restlessness, that frustration that needs to be navigated. Especially right now, this is where we see that this is now having an impact on the feminine energy, because the feminine energy is, again, feeling like they don't have enough time, and a lot of the things that the feminine's doing right now feel like they're more grounded in the practical as opposed to the things that feminine likes to do. So masculine and feminine right now need to be like a little bit mindful that both energies are feeling a little bit of frustration right now as it relates to like having points of healthy solitude, and also having plans be clear and stabilized. Now, masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is that point of observation and clarity, like the light's being shed on some situations and circumstances outside of the divine unions right now, specifically as it relates to time, as it relates to energy, as it relates to situations or circumstances. Again, if these are divine union situations where there is some kind of time frame here, it's almost like masculine energy. You're recognizing that there's a point of optics as it relates to energy around you with the feminine that feels like something is very time-based. It's that feeling of time-based that is helping you recognize whether someone is truly in a space or state of trying to heal like in a positive way, or if they're in a state or space where they're trying to disrupt the divine like a divine union from coming into fruition. Feminine is showing this to you potentially. This is either something that you're seeing or something that is brought to your attention. Feminine, if you're coming into divine union right now, if there's some feminine energy around the divine union that's effectively trying to demand the attention of the masculine, this is feminine almost saying, like looking at it and saying, well, it all depends on timeline. What's the rush? What's causing that state or space of speed? Because we see here that this is feminine that says, again, something that's coming from a positive space or place. Love, true care, doesn't have a time clock on it. It's not like someone saying like, I'd like to come into a space or place of like platonic healing with you, but it needs to happen in like the next 2 hours. This is almost feminine amplifying this right now in divine union and saying like that necessity, someone outside the union effectively trying to put their clock on something, is all the information you need to determine whether that's actually coming from a state or space of someone just genuinely trying to like build a bridge versus someone who has a very specific reason to do so. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This could be why you just got pulled into separation. This could be that observation point of feminine. Why we see feminine right now is in a state or space that some of the feminine energy is feeling a lot of frustration right now, because there's something that feels like has been some kind of illumination as it relates to a situation or scenario based on the fact that someone refused to be patient around something. So for a lot of the feminine energy right now, having that moment or opportunity of allowing that to be a situation or scenario wherein feminine is able to effectively recognize and take that point of taking their own time back right now is helping the feminine energy in a way build that point of observation about the intentionality of the masculine. And masculine, you may be seeing feminine energy in this modality. This may be coming across, and I'm sorry for a lot of the masculine experiencing this right now, because it may feel a little bit difficult. A lot of feminine energy almost feeling like there's this level or degree where they feel like they don't necessarily have time. But we also see here that this is also because the feminine energy's own heart space is going through some healing. So in a way, it's like feminine is trying to utilize that lack of time as a way to protect their heart space. So for the masculine energy, truly in a state or space of healing, having that observation of a feminine that's trying to utilize that time element to protect their heart might also give you that point of understanding and clarity on like seeing the feminine in that modality and almost saying, what can I do to help, is probably the best thing that you can do right now to help a feminine in that mode. Bottom of the deck on these readings today are, it's a retrograde. I'm not surprised to see Judgment in its reversal. Everything has look, this is what the retrogrades, everything's about opening the box of the past. So there's some situations and circumstances from the past that need to be addressed, things climbing out of the woodwork, coming back up. But again, we like when we're on a healing journey, having this energy from the past rise back up isn't going to get us off of our own path. It requires us to be able to take the energy and the knowledge that we have now to find new ways of trying to heal it, trying to find that point of positivity around circumstances and situations. And it does feel like very frustrating right now, because it's going to feel like a little bit of like a lot of things kind of demanding your attention to a certain extent, but everything is not letting yourself move into a state or space of frustration, but letting that sense of intentionality guide your directions thus far. Let that reconsideration point be one that you take with a lot of intentionality, not just something that you don't recognize or experience, okay? It's like, don't let that feeling of frustration guide you. Set your intention. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages, and we will do this again.